Yo, what's good, people? We back at it for another episode of What's the Word with LJ Mental Podcast. As always, I'm your host with the most, LJ. Back up in here for another week. You know what it is? We smack dab in the middle of Black History Month. Now, I've been hearing a lot this month about, we want to call it Black Future Month. What does that really mean? You know what I mean? So, last year around this time, I took the whole month of Black History Month to point out different black figures and how it relate to Black history, and and I wanted to take some of those weeks to make it more modern, talk about what some black folks have done in, like, I guess you consider like a modern times, 20th century, even close to the 21st century, and talk about some things that related to technology, talk about how not just inventions, but how a lot of black folks have done a lot during these important issues and that don't get talked about throughout, what I guess would be considered commercial or nationally like recognized, like around throughout all areas. And I wanted to take the time to talk about some of those figures last year. So I didn't do that this year, but we gotta start. It's good to recognize where we were, how we got there, what was real, what's fake, and how do we correct it. We recognize we recognize problems, we recognize what was good, what was going on, and but now we do need to move forward. So I love that phrase, Black Future Month, because we need to focus on, we know where our history were, we know what black folks still go through in this country that's still not totally fair. Things are a lot better, obviously, than slavery, Jim Crow era, all those different things, and what black folks, great black folks have done during that time period. But now it is time to move forward. That's why my word of the week is change. Because I love the idea of this Black Future Month, because we need to focus on what can we do now. We really have to, not just black folks, but anybody, need to start making some changes in areas we don't like. We It obviously takes more than one to get things done, but we can do things ourselves to start doing some things and make change. Now, one aspect I want to talk about, because obviously it was the Super Bowl played this past weekend, right? And I'm gonna get into that as well, about the Super Bowl, because I do want to talk about that. For one, actually, let's dive right into that first. So, the Super Bowl played in Los Angeles in that new $1 billion stadium at SoFi. I've heard it called SoFi Stadium, but yeah, SoFi out there in Inglewood, out here in California. Brand new stadium built a couple years ago. First Super Bowl in the Los Angeles type era since 1993, before the Rams left. In 1994, they played at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California, still in the LA area. This is the first Super Bowl since the early 90s. And the game was a great game. I think it was a great game. Some people complained there was a controversial call at the end, but I'm not going to get on into that, because I've had a few discussions about it, but I'm not going to get on into that. But I thought it was a great game. I thought Cincinnati would win, but I'm not mad the Rams won. I didn't really have a dog in the fight. And I didn't bet on the Super Bowl. Sometimes I do bet, but I didn't bet this year, so I thought it was a good game. Now, I want to get into this halftime show, because this is the first time I watched a halftime show. And I didn't want it to end as quick as it did. My personal opinion, some people could disagree, but to me, that was the greatest halftime show ever. Out of this is Super Bowl 56, out of all those 56 halftime shows, obviously there was some halftime shows before I was even born. There was some that were great, like Prince singing Purple Rain, literally in the rain in Miami, which is one of the greatest things ever. Michael Jackson in '93 when I believe it was in the Bills and the Cowboys Super Bowl. I believe the first one, I think, or the second one. I think actually it was the second one, I believe. And those were some of the greatest of all times. There's some halftime shows that are just not even memorable, like at all. I mean, obviously, Beyonce had a great halftime show where she did the stand she took. I believe that was a San Francisco Super Bowl, or the Super Bowl in San Francisco. But this halftime show, it was history being made. For one, it's the first ever headline hip hop halftime show. Now, there's been rappers in halftime shows before, but they were like side shows. I don't even want to say side shows. They weren't the main event. They weren't the main attraction. They showed up like as a surprise guest or something. But this right here, they headlined the whole show. Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Kendrick Lamar, and Mary J. Blige are called the Queen of Hip Hop Soul, which she is. And surprise guests who I was hoping they would have, 50 Cent. Because when I first saw that this was announced, and I spoke about this too on my podcast, when I first heard about it, I'm like, you got all these MCs, all these rappers that was under Dre. Like, you don't got 50? But 50 showed up, and I'm happy about that because this is all of Dr. Dre's proteges, pretty much that are huge. I'm like, 50 is the only person missing. But 50 showed up, so he wasn't missing. And Dr. Dre was the quarterback of that show. Like, he obviously was the one that helped catapult Eminem's career. Obviously, his first protege was Snoop Dogg when he was still with Death Row. But this is just a reminder to people of the world what Dr. Dre really. He gave you all these amazing artists. Now, he didn't put on Mary J. because she started out with Bad Boy and all this other stuff, but everybody else was down with Dre. And Dre, you could argue, is the most important figure in hip hop history because of the different eras he was a part of. Like, and this was just a reminder how great that Dr. Dre and Snoop really could have had a halftime show by themselves. They really could have. And this crazy, it's only like 14 minutes. Like, man, and I know the halftime shows aren't that long. Sometimes they seem longer. But to me, the whole performance was amazing. It felt so California. I'm not from Los Angeles, but I enjoyed it. Like, it felt so California. Like, especially with Snoop Dogg, like up there crip walking in front of the whole world. I'm like, man, this is crazy. And they had the performances like with dudes with the Dickies on and the Chucks, and like, man, this is definitely LA right here. but Dre, how he was playing the piano and how they dropped California Love. I never in my wildest dreams thought I would ever hear California Love on a Super Bowl stage. I'm so happy I did. It sounded amazing on that stage. It really did. Now, I know some of y'all folks who don't like this didn't care for the halftime show. Some of you aren't going to watch it. If we're being real, I mean, the only people that say wasn't interested in this halftime show probably, I mean, might be some older black folks as well, but I know some older black folks who love hip hop, so, and love that era of music, that loved it. It seems like it was mostly, I would say mostly older white folks. But not even that. It was just people, honestly, people with no swag really hated on the halftime show. All the people with no swag. They wear they wear the Nikes don't nobody want to wear. They wear the New Balances. No, I'm not saying nobody wear New Balances because there's some good New Balances out there, but they wear the ones. No, yeah, like you got those on. Yeah, the people with no swag basically didn't like this halftime show, but it doesn't. I don't care who didn't like it because it was amazing, and a lot of people did like it. amazing. It's to me the greatest halftime show ever. I didn't want it to end as quick as it did. And in some ways, I think it was because it was actually a good game. In some way, and I never said this before because I love football. In some ways, I'm like, man, the halftime show might be better than the actual game. And it wasn't a bad. It was actually a really good game that went down to the wire. But yeah, this is just a nice way to embrace change. Like they rocked that stage, and I don't know how controversial it's gonna be to some people who were those same people who were angry. Colin Kaepernick who took the knee when Dr. Dre got that line that obviously from Still Dre, the song "Still Not Loving Police." Um, I don't know how many people gonna be angry about that if they not already. I haven't heard too much outrage about it. Um, but I'm happy that they kept it the way it was because it's hip hop. Hip hop is all about, especially how hip hop started. We all about breaking barriers, and you tell them not to do something, and you're like, well, no, we gonna do it anyway. We gonna keep our shit authentic, and that's what Dr. Dre was gonna do anyway. He's gonna keep it authentic. So, but it was amazing, and yeah, it might open the door for other hip hop artists to do halftime shows in the future. But yeah, this is history. This is the first time ever a hip hop headline Super Bowl halftime show. The first time that's ever been done. Now, I mean, a lot of people. I heard Nate Burleson of the. I believe he's with the NFL Network now. He was interviewing with Dr. Dre, Mary J. Blige. They were asking, how does it feel to? This is gonna be the biggest performance of your career. How does it feel and all that? And all of them were, I seemed pretty modest. It seemed like their answer, but I'm like, it seemed weird to ask Dr. Dre a question like that. I'm like, bro, this is Dr. Dre. Like, dude, he is. I know some people, I guess, in the world don't like hip hop, and I get this is a stage in front of pretty much almost 100,000 people, 200 million people watching. One of the most watched sport events, not even just sporting events, one of the most watched events around the world every year. And it just seemed weird to ask Dr. Dre a question like that at this stage of his career. Because, he don't need the Super Bowl, but I feel like the Super Bowl halftime show needed Dre and them. They had to move it forward. And he said it too when he asked him, not to be arrogant or nothing like that, but I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but he's like, what else? Who else could do this show? And I'm like, man, I agree. This is the first Super Bowl in LA since the early '90s, and hip hop is the biggest genre in the world now. And why not get some of them? And there's so many legendary, iconic hip hop figures from LA. From the LA area, surrounded from Compton, Long Beach, South Central, wherever, like from the LA surrounding areas. And Dr. Dre is probably the most important one because of who he himself has done and who he's put on. That's what makes him legendary, and his music is exceptional, and some of it is timeless. So, I think Dre is right. Who else could they have gotten besides him and the Aftermath crew? Because it just reminded people what Dre has done. Like once he left Death Row and started Aftermath, he got even bigger. Like especially his first move was getting Eminem, which basically was a gold mine, because Eminem is, you could argue, the biggest hip hop artist of all time. Not saying the best. I'm not gonna get into that. People who know me know I already feel about Eminem. I like Eminem, but yeah, it was an amazing time show. It was an amazing halftime show, and I'm happy 50 showed up because it just didn't feel right to have all the people, pretty much all the big time artists from Aftermath, and not have 50. Granted, I know Game was part of that crew too. And I've heard some people saying, too bad Game wasn't there. But you can't fit everybody. The halftime show only like 15 minutes. It's not that long. It seemed a lot longer than that, but you can only do so much. Like each artist only had like 2 songs, and honestly, I really feel like Dre and Snoop could have did it by themselves. could have been just Snoop and Drake, because I kind of wanted to hear that. That I kind of wanted to hear Snoop say, "What's my name? Snoop Doggy Dogg." I kind of wanted to hear that, but it wouldn't have been enough time, because Mary J had to rock out, 50 dropping from the ceiling, with the in the club. Shout out to the video they did in '03. Kendrick had to rock out. Eminem had to rock out. So I mean, yeah, it would have been enough time with all those iconic artists, and you don't want to steal the shine away from none of them. Which I feel like they were all in sync. Like, man, that performance was amazing. And you had Anderson .Paak on the drums. It was pretty amazing. It was incredible. I think, like I said, I think it's the greatest halftime show of all time. Some may disagree. I don't care. But it was pretty amazing. Another, to keep it with this theme of change, and we gonna call it, I guess, now Black Future Month, which I love, because I haven't thought about it before, and I've been seeing different things people doing as far as non-profit organizations, as far as different changes they like to see in the black community, which I think can benefit not just the black community, but everybody. Yeah, let's call it Black Future Month. So, just like to take a few minutes before I get up out of here too, to talk about some things we would like to see in the future. Like, for one, I would love to see more, because technology is like the biggest thing in the world now, especially with all these different ways to get things done. I mean, you got electric cars, you have different ways to invest in cryptocurrency and these NFTs, you have this metaverse, you have cell phones are getting smaller, and everybody basically has a cell phone now. Creating more apps, creating new ways to conduct business, creating digital everything. You got digital business cards now, which I need to get on. So I still have the physical ones, but yeah, that's something I need to get on. I've seen something like that. I definitely need to get on that. So yeah, there's so many different ways, and technology is like one of the most important things in this world right now, as far as getting things done in this world. And you gotta stay up to date and evolve. And some people don't like change. Some things I don't like to change, but we gotta get with it or get left behind. Some things can be kind of annoying. I'm like, I don't feel like, I don't want to change this or whatever it is. But change is necessary. I don't think all change is good. So I do think some change is unnecessary. But as a whole in this world, change has to happen to grow and evolve. Change will happen. Whether we like it or not, change will happen. It's going to continue to happen no matter what. We got to keep it growing and evolve in different ways. And especially with some white folks are still angry how they, I've heard some white folks say like, oh, they're doing too much for black people in a league that's over 70% black, which is kind of crazy that people were tripping about that. That they said like, people having a problem with on the field, saying like inspire change on the players' helmets and end racism. Like, I don't know why you have a problem with that. Like, unless you just don't want the world to be, you want the world to continue to be segregated, separated by race. I don't know, but yeah, as a whole, yeah, I just want to see more black folks. I just want to see more black folks thrive, and like I put a big emphasis on technology, because technology is only going to get bigger and grow bigger, no matter what. Every day, pretty much every year, like it's crazy what's going on in this world, and we gotta just keep it pushing, keep it going. Teach people about business. Now, one thing that's important, I don't think everybody is meant to run a business. This is not for everybody. You can't just go off for what you see your friends do or what you see on social media. You gotta really believe in it and want it. Like seriously, it's not meant for everybody. It's really not. Some people can't just go off of a trend because you see all these businesses. Like now, if you really got something, a product or service you think is good and you're passionate about it, go for it. But yeah, some people just not meant for it. They're not meant to. They're not meant to lead. They're not meant to. Some people are meant to get things done. But I think as a whole, everybody in this world is meant to get things done, and everybody has a passion. And some people just don't know what it is. But that's why you gotta not be afraid to try different things and get out there. But yeah, I just want to see black people thrive. Excuse me. I want to continue to see black people thrive as a whole, and I want to see everybody thrive. White folks, I got some white homies too. Hispanic people, I want to see y'all thrive more. Asians, whoever. So, as a whole, like, we gotta stop this. And I don't give a damn about being politically correct or not. I don't give a damn about none of that. But honestly, I think it is better for everybody to try to work together. It is. Like, seriously. So, we gotta keep it, we gotta embrace the change. Some changes people don't like, but it is what it is. You gotta keep it going. And so yeah, that is going to be it for me today. I get up out of here. So yeah, the goal this week was, like I said, change, inspiring change, and this is, we're gonna call it Black Future Month now. We talked about Black History Month. I did that last year. And each week of Black History Month, I talk about different black figures in different ways. And I wanted to make it more modern than other black history, like I guess lists or whatever you want to call it, that I've seen. And so yeah, I'm talking about Black Future Month and what we can do to go forward and get things done. So yeah, I'm about to get up out of here. So remember to always stay safe, stay positive, definitely stay sucker free. I'm out.